Hello, hello, hello. Welcome everyone. How's everyone doing today? Oh, I should lower my music because that's the smart thing to do. Okay. Wow. And I want to save that too. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I'm gonna be coughing a bit. I don't know. I'm not feeling sick per se, but it's been weird. Friday night, I thought I was having chest pains, but I thought it was just anxiety related. But then, like, over the weekend, I've been having like too high heart rate. I think the coughing is just my body's way of trying to lower it. Tongue lengths is God's gonna have an extra long tongue. I mean, maybe, but the secret about me, I have almost no tongue. I don't know what tongues are supposed to look like. I mean, weird. And it's been uber cold here. It's been uber cold this entire week, and I'm not enjoying it. This is the downside of having a nice winter, is when it decides to actually remember it's supposed to be winter. It's like, actually, let's give you all the winter weather all at once. So, normally if we had a colder winter, we would be acclimatized to this weather already. It'd be fine. But no. Now it just feels like we're going from summer weather to -30. You showing teeth? Oops. He looks like he has fangs. Dorbs. They look good. Makes sense. Oh, you resubscribed to me. Thank you. I really need to get to watching a lot more Twitch streams lately. It's been a bit derpy. I'm back to work and I don't like it. I realize I did nothing over my break. I just kind of shut down and every day, and didn't even. I did some gaming on my own, but My brain was like, yeah, let's just shut down instead. It's fine. It's fine. Who needs to have fun, right? Anywho, let me get this part set up. Yeah, next time I have funds, I'm gonna start commissioning some better overlays. But for now, this is what we got still. I am drawing absolute filth while you read a wholesome book. Yay. Okay, I need to change this music because that ringing is just setting off my tinnitus really bad. My tinnitus has been bad lately, so that's making it worse. Oh wait, I was gonna do something really quick too. Sorry, I just wanna... How do I do this? Okay, that's how I do it. Okay. Woohoo. Figuring it out. On the fly. E. Okay. Oop. So, last time on DBZ, last time on stream, which was a couple of weeks ago, because last week I got sidetracked by watching the last episodes of Stranger Things 4. Now I'm finally properly caught up to be ready for season 5, which has only just started filming, so I'll be waiting for a bit. But get to the point is I can't stop watching right now. Anywho, last time Alana braved the cold weather despite hating cold weather to go up the mountain in the middle of a blizzard, because this was actually a part of the challenge to get the Dominion Jewel. She battled a mountain ape? Oversized mountain ape for the jewel. She got the jewel. Thought she died there just because she didn't have the energy to go back down, but after she won, all the storms dissipated and her friends were able to find her. And she learned her friends from Tortala are here and had been looking for her. And now we're returning to... And, well, she also learned that her brother brought Roger back from the dead. So, it's back to the rivalry between older gent and what had once been the older gent's people. Something like that. Deep rivalry. Yeah. So. Oh, Wawa. He got it good. Alright. Okay. In the capital of Chapter 5, in the capital of Tortal. When Queen Lioness died in March, Tortal mourned. Now, after the king's sudden death, the nation's feeling was one of shocked disbelief. To lose both in such a short time seems like the work of an angry god. No, just a depressed man. The Black God is taking revenge on us, people muttered. He's not pleased that the Lord of Trebon brought the Duke back from his grave. He can't go interfering with the gods without them extracting payment. The rumors spread, and gossips began to claim that Jonathan's reign would be cursed. As if I don't have enough problems, Jonathan told his acting prime minister, Sir Gareth, the younger of Naxon. Gary looked up from the documents he studied. His chestnut eyes worried. His cousin looked worn out. Talking to yourself again? He said it like a joke. The rumors, Jonathan explained. They'll pass. Particularly since there's no proof. The gods are angry. Why would they pick on their majesties? Why haven't they struck Master Lord Tom down? If they want, I'll volunteer for the duty. Tom irritates me. A good striking down might improve him. Does he look sick to you? John asked abruptly. Tom? Gary put down his papers. I don't get close enough to notice how our bold sorcerer looks. If I can help it. He never sheaths that tongue of his anymore. Why? George mentioned it to me the other day. Tom does seem thinner. He's probably losing sleep while he looks up some old spell or the other. John, I need your signature on these. Jonathan obeyed, writing his name over the royal seal on several documents. I still can't get used to signing as ruler of Tortal. I didn't think I'd be king for years. He swallowed a sudden lump in his throat. Sympathetic, Gary said nothing. After a moment, John went on. I feel helpless. I should have done something to keep them alive. What could anyone have done? Gary asked sensibly. Aunt Lyanne never got well after Roger's spell was broken. And the king... He stopped, not wanting to touch an unhealed wound. He killed himself, John whispered. He always forced himself to see the truth. And Gary was one of the few who knew the king had deliberately killed himself. How could he do that? He loved her. Gary's voice was soft. Jonathan shook his head. I love anyone so much that I'd forget that I have a duty to my people. George says you could smell their fear down in the lower city. I can't blame them for thinking there's a curse. Not with the famine last year, and then this? What can I tell them that will give them confidence? They don't know me. They didn't really know my father. He returned the documents to his cousin. Once things have settled down, I'm going to visit every corner of Tortal. I won't be a king who stays in his palace and waits for his people to come to him. His fate was set and stubborn. I hope Alana really can bring us the Dominion Jewel. You think the messengers will find her? Gary asked. One of them will. One of them has to. As Jonathan and Gary talked, George Cooper entered his mother's house. A message from Chorus had brought him home from Port Kane at a gallop. Claw, frustrated by months of trying to kill George, had done the unthinkable and attacked a non-combatant. Elenai Cooper. Men and women loyal to George had turned back Claw's forces, and now Mistress Cooper's home resembled an army camp, complete with wary sentries. When her son walked into the kitchen, Elenai was sorting and boxing the herbs she used as a healer. Pots holding some potions bubbled on the hearth, filling the air with the scent of herbs. "It could have been worse," she told George. "None of your people were killed, and I'm alright." George scowled. "This time, Mother. What of the next time? And the next? He attacked a woman who's not sealed to the rogue. Claw will respect none of our laws, and if he breaks this one, he don't care who gets hurt. He don't care if my Lord Provost descends on us with soldiers to rid the city of us and our wars. He cares nothing for them he bribes and forces to follow him. They can end on Gallows Hill, and Claw will make no move to save them. It isn't right. He wants to be a rogue, but he won't look after those sealed to him as is his duty." He accepted the cup of herbal tea she poured for him and sipped it without noticing what he drank. Her greatest advantage lay always in never causing enough trouble that my Lord Provost would be interested in cleaning the lower city of us. "You'll find a way to deal with him," Elenai told him. She labeled a packet of comfrey leaves. "I have never known you to admit defeat, George." "Sometimes I start believing the rumors," George whispered, looking tired. "Let's face it, Mother. A man killed once should stay dead." Elenai sat across from him at the table. "Thank the goddess his gift didn't leave the tomb with him." "If only his word for that. And Tom's." George spooned honey onto his tea. "I think sometimes all our troubles since October stem from those two. No, that's unfair. I let Alana go myself." "She could have waited for you in Port Kane," Elenai reminded him. George smiled ruefully. "I try not to ask the impossible of her, Mother. She's not a lass who waits at home for her man." "She could have returned here with you." George shook his head. "She didn't wish to face our nobles again. I think her memories of Jonathan still hurt." "Perhaps you should go after her then. You haven't been yourself since she returned to the desert." Taking one of his hands, she added, "It would please me to know you had stopped your courting of the hangman's noose." George squeezed her hand. "I can't, Mother. Not yet. I have a few things to finish up here first." His face was bleak. "Besides, didn't I tell you? The news from Erin and Serene is she's keeping company with the Shang Dragon. How can a commoner and a rogue rival the likes of the King of Tortal and Liam Ironarm?" Elenai frowned. "It's not like you to feel sorry for yourself, or to give up without a fight." George patted his mother's cheek. "I haven't. I'm just giving Alana her head while I see to things here." He grinned. Elenai grinned back. Finishing his tea, he added, "Speaking of that, we need to take steps. Claw may be fool enough to try this again." "Be careful, George," she teased. "You risk getting tangled in the affairs of the law-abiding people like me. Respectability might be catching." Seeing he continued to frown, she said tartly, "What would you do? Surround me with the king's own?" He looked at her, and a wide grin spread over his face. "You know, Mother, you may have a point there." A few hours later, George took his mother to call on Miles of Allow in his townhouse. Vizier guards admitted them and escorted them to the knight's study. The servants hurried to bring Miles and his guests refreshments. George they knew for a frequent guest, but none of them had ever seen the woman who accompanied him. Gossip buzzed in the kitchens as the tribesmen who attended Miles looked on. Alana's father looked from George to Ilanai after hearing George's request, tugging his shaggy beard. I'd be delighted if Mistress Cooper wishes to stay in my house. I didn't know things were so bad for you, though. Pa's not giving up easy, George said grimly, and he knows he can hurt me through Mother. Here, with all these Vizier about, she'll be safe. You have archers enough. It comes of my daughter being the woman who rides like a man, Miles told Ilanai, his eyes twinkling. I adopted her, and they adopted me. He took Ilanai's hand. Alana's told me about you. And you are the mother of my friend George. I welcome the chance to do you a service, Mistress Cooper. She looked him over. I hate to leave my home, she admitted, but while my son makes his life among the rogues, I must be careful. Thank you, Sir Miles. I accept sanctuary in your house. Then it must be Miles, the knight kissed her hand, as I am Ilanai. Miles held Ilanai's hand a moment too long, making George think. This possibility hadn't occurred to him before. A fine thing to be getting a paw at my age, he thought with a grin. That awkward moment when your soon-to-be mother-in-law is also your stepmom. Tom dropped into an armchair with a sigh. The bright colors of his silk robe overwhelmed his pale face and dull copper hair, bleaching his eyes to a light amethyst. He rubbed a hand over his chapped mouth, wincing as a crack began to bleed. Roger of Conte walked in. So, you're back. I was just finishing my notes on Palawin the Windwalker. No, the Wind Waker. Thank you, Tom rasped, watching as Roger took a seat. In contrast, the Duke was the picture of health. Gleaming brown-black hair and beard, brilliant sapphire eyes, glowing skin. He didn't look as if he'd spent 10 months in a tomb to emerge as a magicless sorcerer. So here's an irony, Tom thought. I raise him from death, and 7 months later, I look as if I just crawled out of the grave. I just had another cozy talk with his soon-to-be Majesty, he announced bitterly. This time he brought my Lord Provost. I don't like that old man. I never did. Mimicking, he went on. Was I still sure you have no gift? Would I report if he showed signs of getting it back? Have I noticed you conspiring with anyone? Do I suspect you of involvement in the king's death? Or the queen's? Or my third cousin's, the one who was struck by lightning? His face turned an ugly red. They asked me if I trust you, he added sullenly. Roger inspected his fingernails. Do you? He inquired in his melodic voice. Of course I don't. I don't trust anyone. Except your sister, Roger pointed out. What did they say? Nothing this time, Tom replied, puzzled. Usually I get a lecture about my duty to spy on you and report my suspicions. But this time, nothing. I see. Is there a word of your twin? Tom glanced sharply at him. A look Roger met with a bland expression. Jonathan's had word from some Udayan hedge witch, he said reluctantly. Sir Raoul found Alana there. It's possible they'll sail to Port Kane sometime next week. You must be pleased, Roger murmured. Didn't I hear somewhere she's prone to seasickness? Very. Tom grinned. To think I'd forgotten that. Does gossip say she found whatever it was that took her to the roof of the world? For the thousandth time, Tom wondered how Roger really felt about the woman who had killed him. If His Majesty knows, he's keeping quiet about it. We'll find out for ourselves soon enough. Are you looking forward to her coming home? Picking up a crystal, Roger shrugged. I plan to stay out of her way. Shall I start on the Dragon Breaker scrolls next? Do as you like, Tom snapped. I'm not your jailer, or your keeper. Roger smiled, turning on his charm. I owe you a debt, dear boy. If not for you, I'd be caught still between here and the realms of the dead. I can repay you. I will. Now that just sounds lewd. We'll never trust you, Tom said, red with shame. That's literally a blush. It's like, yes, I know. You've done many things already. They watch everything for you do for a sign you regain your gift. Roger stood. Believe me, Tom, if my magic returns, you will be the very first to know. Excuse me. The Inn of the Dancing Dove was quiet. It was an hour before sunset, and the city's rogues still prowled the streets. What? They are good. Although, yeah, I can see how the Drake's face is making you funny. The Drake face at the bottom, yeah.
I tend to ascribe it.
It always sounds like they're just saying Tentaskir rabbit or something like that. Like, I'm no rabbit.
Hi, butt spot.
Oops. Anyways, it counts as something, but poke at it more later. Yes, poke at the butt slit more later. That sounds like a good plan. Inn of the Dancing Dove. What? I forgot my one joy in life is drawing Drake looking unhinged. I mean, it is a funny expression. Okay. The Inn of the Dancing Dove was quiet. It was an hour before sunset and the city's rogues still prowled the streets. George looked around the empty common room, aware, not for the first time, that he no longer enjoyed being master here. In part, it was his war with Claw. It had begun when George visited Port Kane to put down a revolt, and then to have a love affair with Alana. 4 months ago, Claw had moved to become king of the thieves in George's absence. He had used blackmail to force many to follow him, and then he'd tried to poison George. George had come to the city to save his throne, and Alana had returned to her brazier. George had known then that he'd probably lost her. When George was younger, things were different. The would-be king challenged the old one in a fight before witnesses. The winner took the throne like chair at the Dancing Dove, and a tenth of the profits on each major transaction and theft. He gave the choicest jobs and judged quarrels. He was king of the Tartalan underworld and received far more obedience than his people would ever give the king in the palace. Claw would not fight. Claw swore loyalty to George, while his men attacked George nightly. Many rogues changed their allegiance on a day-to-day basis, depending on who appeared to be the winner. Only George's oldest friends kept faith with him. The only interest George now had in the rogue was the efforts to bring Claw down, and he hoped to finding out who Claw really was would help. Miles had put a man to investigating Claw's secret past. The history the one-eyed rogue had given George on his arrival in Chorus was as false as his name. In other thieves, this hardly mattered. The Claw spoke and acted, at times, like a noble. Majesty? The street boy George didn't know rushed in. Majesty, come quick! Claws took my provost men. George followed the boy through a rear entrance, still deep in thought. When he emerged, a man struck him from behind, knocking him into the mud to the kitchen yard. George cleared 2 knives from the sheath at his waist. This is how you pay, he thought grimly as he slashed and struck. You forget to be watchful, and the black god taps your shoulder. He slashed again. Someone screamed. The man on his back fell off. George lunged to his feet, his knives sweeping in a silver arc. One of the gangs surrounding him, he took one in the throat and the next low. The fourth jumped from the kitchen roof onto his shoulders. George rammed backward into a wall to stun his assailant. The swordsman attacked. A line of pain streaked from George's shoulder to his thigh. Gritting his teeth, George threw one of his knives, hitting the swordsman in the chest. The kitchen yard boiled with enemies. Where was his own people? He found another of his many concealed knives and faced a man with a hand axe. This one bellowed and charged, but 4 arrows cut his voice off. He never completed his attack. Black arrows rained as rearing Baziar Warhouse's horses cut off all chances for escape. Within a second, the only sound in the kitchen yard was that of horses. You're lucky I was coming to visit, Miles said as he rode up. Dismounting, he caught George as the thief staggered. You need a healer. George shook his head, as much to clear to say no. Solemn, he muttered. Miles helped him into the Dancing Dove's kitchen. Just inside the door, they found old Solemn and 2 serving girls. Dead. George was still recuperating in Miles's house 2 days later, and the servant interrupted the night at his lunch to say Dalil al-Marganit awaited him in the library. Miles put down his knife and scrubbed at his face rapidly with a napkin. Al-Marganit was the man he'd put to work seeking Claw's true identity. He'd used the little Siraji agent before and could count on him to find out almost anything. When Miles entered the library, the agent rose and bowed. He gestured to the bowl of fruit and the Tiran wine the servants had already brought him, saying, "I am treated like a noble in this house." Miles sat behind his desk with a smile. "You deserve that treatment, Delil. Sit down, please. What have you learned for me?" The little man took a notebook from inside his tunic and leafed through blotted pages. Nearsighted, he had to bring the pages so close to his eyes that they tickled his nose. He sneezed. "Regarding the matter of the thief Claw, yes. Arrested by my Lord Provost's men 2 years ago. Charged of suspected robbery. Released for lack of evidence. Our Provost is scrupulous in such matters, and like many in his place, as your lordship knows, arrested 5 months ago in the dock riots. Escaped. He's now sought by Provost's men. They do not look as hard as they might. One assumes he has paid larger bribes. I traced the subject Claw to Vedis in Gala, where he claims to originate. He is unknown in the cities Vedis, Nanette, and Giotis in Gala. All having large communities of thieves. Going by my lord's guess, that Claw's accent is that of the lake region in Tortal, and the Claw was born of nobles, either legitimately or illegitimately. I journeyed to the lake region with a good drawing of the subject Claw. Here is an accounting of my expenses." He gave Miles a sheet of notepaper, which a knight barely glanced at. Almergenti closed the notebook and looked at Miles. "Claw is Ralan of Malven." Miles turned white. Another of Alana's enemies. No one had seen or heard from him in years. While he thought Claw might be illegitimate and trained by his noble-born parents' teachers, he never considered the possibility that Claw was a true-born son of a noble family, hiding in the courts of the rogue. He realized that the agent was looking at him, worried. Forcing a smile, he said, "It's all right. Go on." The little man shrugged and continued. Obviously, Sir Miles wasn't going to tell him why he looked as if he just stepped on a grave. He is the third son of Viljo, Count of Malven, and his lady, Gaila. I do not know how to pronounce that name, but I'll go with that. He was disinherited after the attempted rape of the second daughter of the bailiff, Anala, a village in Eldorn. Eldorn is a neighbor of Malven. A connection between Claw and Delia? Miles wondered. He scribbled a note to himself as Delil continued. The girls made threw acid in his face, thereby leaving the purple scars of which she spoke, and causing him to lose an eye. If I may refresh my lord's memory, Lailan of Malven left court at the age of 14 after months of feuding with a page, Alan of Turbond, or, if I may be so bold, in the matter of Alana of Turbond and Alau. Miles gave an absent smile. Though blessed few of us knew it then, Alan of Malven. How could I have forgotten? He is well disguised, my lord. He came, as a bad man will, to make his name among rogues. He battles the present king of thieves for his throne, but he will not call for an open fight as the custom decrees. Instead, he fights with treachery. Unlike the legitimate rogue, Rallan as Claw will hire to do murder, or to ruin a good name. He will betray those who will follow him. The little man shook his head. A noble gone bad, my lord. There's no stopping him. Not at all. He will say that he is owed something he has come to collect. Miles sent Al Marjani home with a well-earned praise and a fat purse. The agent had never failed him. And this time he succeeded past Miles' greatest dreams. The knight considered every aspect of what he'd learned, for an hour or so. Then went to tell Eleni Cooper and her son. Chance, in the first sunny day in more than a week, brought large numbers of people to the Chorus marketplace that spring morning. Jonathan, after much persuasion, agreed to go riding. His first such outing since the king's funeral. He was a commanding figure in mourning black, flanked by Roger and Sir Gary, both also in black. With them rode other knights and ladies, including Delia of Eldorn, Alex of Tiragan, and Princess Josiane of the Coparals. The company was a beautiful sight, even in their mourning colors of black, lavender, and grey. The crowd soon gathered in the market to watch them pass. The men of the king's own, many of them a uniformed vizier these days, exchanged wary looks and kept an eye on the people who closed in on the riding party. They were disturbed by the crowd's silence. No one called blessings on the king to be. Many made this sign against evil when Roger passed them. There were no cheers. The usual audible and sometimes satiric comments on the nobles' dress and private lives were missing. George Cooper watched. He'd risked reopening his wounds and being spotted by Claus or the provost's men to see how people received their new king. He scanned faces in the crowd, trying to find any feelings other than suspiciousness, suspicion, or wariness. That Contact Duke looks like a king, someone muttered. Against him, Prince Jonathan's a boy. I've never heard bad of the prince, someone else hissed. I've heard plenty bad about his grace. Ain't natural for a man to live twice. The prince be cursed, came a third voice, cracked with age. The sweat and sickness, when he was a lad. I took my Alias, and both his parents dead. And him, sorcerer come back. He drove the evil from the Black City away south, the fourth voice argued. He made peace with the vizier. The old king, his granda, couldn't even do that. He helped a woman make herself a knight. That ain't unnatural. Hush. Crowd is full of spies, and you've a loose tongue in your head. The people stirred with interest as the Lord Provost rode up, changed places with Gary. George's longtime enemy was blue-eyed and lean, his face leathery from years in the sun and framed by heavy silver hair and short silver beard. The Tartal rogues called him the Old Demon, and were intensely proud of him. Foreign rogues made a sign when he was mentioned. The people in the crowd, the honest ones, liked the fierce old man. Someone applauded, then someone else. A woman raised a cheer and was joined by others. Jonathan smiled. Someone cried, God bless you, Majesty. This received a cheer from many, and George smiled at the fickle nature of the crowd. What? Oh. The heck? That was a typo. I'm just making my own gender. I can't even type the typo right. That's been like that forever. Oops. I'm just making up my own genders, it's fine. That's a thing now, right? feel like the trad gender would be a cult. So I was worried I didn't even read the typo right. I don't know what trad means. I mean, trad gender sounds like cisgender trying to create their own wording to be something similar, like traditional gender roles. Trand, I don't know. Yeah, that's why it's culty. Yeah. Yeah, thank you for pointing that out. It was, oh, honestly, I've been doing that like ever since we could type it in our own tags like that. This is why I'm not allowed to type anything out. Is that what you want to be?
Hi, Botrix Official.
Unique way of reading out official. If that were true, Winter Peak is like, I can't fucking type ever. No. ARP is my brain is shorting out when I go to write my stuff down. Honestly, I came across a place I could read lewd manga online, and that's kind of gotten me thinking again, but I just need to start writing things down and such. Rah. If I'm gonna make my own personal piece. Yay. I'm officially finished my drink, so no one's redeem hydrate, okay? I'm not lonely, you're lonely. Although now I'm reading that I'm not loony. I'm like, you know, everyone's a little bit loony. So it makes people fun, right? Right? Okay. Where was I before he learned that I can't type worth a damn? Face down on the ground. I can spiel. I swear. It's along the lines of I am so smart. SMRT. Okay, A woman in the front of the riding party held her child up to see and shrieked when the toddler wriggled out of her hands and ran to the cluster of riders. John swung far to the right and down, seizing the child with one hand and scooping it up, out of danger from the horse's hooves. Darkness reared and plunged at his rider's activity, but the king-to-be held him as the child wailed. The provost gripped Darkness's bridle and forcing the stallion down. Jonathan dismounted, carrying the squalling toddler. And the mother ran forward under the glares of the king's own, laughing and crying to take her little one back. She hugged John in one arm and the child in the other, thanking the young man. Her words were inaudible against the cheer that went up. Easy Custodian, thank you for the follow. Welcome in. What's up? Never mind, you're not allowed in. And ban.
Hi, easy custodian.
Bam, bam. Bam, bam. And reports. And voila. It's that easy. She hugged John in one arm and the child in the other, thanking the young man. Her words were inaudible against the cheer that went up as the word circulated about what John had done. Uneasy for some reason, George left his niche and began to make his way through the crowd, heading for the group of nobles. His intuition was good. A man near the party drew a knife from his belt and ran for Jonathan while George was too far away to help. The attacker was screaming something. Later, the provost told Miles to sound like, "Death to the unlucky king!" Jonathan was tangled with woman and child. His companions were hampered by the crowd and their own horses. It was Darkness who came to his master's defense, rearing to strike the assassin with his hooves. The man went down as other killers swathed in cloaks appeared out of the crowd. George tackled one and knifed another. The provost had dismounted and was fighting with knives, grinning fiercely as he caught one man on the crossblades and kneed him. Horses reared, ladies screamed, and the great market riot had begun. Of it all, George remembered only the moment when he and the provost, for the first time in their long war, came face to face in the melee. Given a choice, he would have relinquished the honor. Now he froze, letting the assassin he'd targeted get away. The provost looked at him, turned, and disappeared back into the crowd. Had he wings? Accompanied by his most trusted people, the brothers Orem and Shem, the knife masters Ercole and Merrick, George reached Jonathan's party to find the king to be nursing a wounded arm. The king's own closed in, forming a tight circle around Gary, Jonathan, and Josiane. Roger was nowhere to be seen, the thief noted. The provost was mounting his horse, secure in the middle of a second ring of guards. George's shoulder wound had been opened, and he was bleeding again. He ignored it. "I know a way out," he called to John, "if you'll trust me." The leader, the king's own, glanced at the prince, who nodded. George guided John's party into a side street and out of the riot, keeping an eye out for assassins. He and his people left the nobles and on the temple way when others of the riding party arrived, and a second company of the King's Own came riding down from the palace. It was Claw, George told Elenai and Miles at House Allow soon after. He winced as his mother replied, yet another poultice to his reopened shoulder. The assassins were his, every one. They wanted John. What does Claw gain if anything happens to Jonathan? Miles wanted to know. He's not connected to anyone in the palace who would benefit. Not as far as I've heard. Although Delia... I find it interesting that his Grace of Conte got out so easy, George growled, propping his feet on a hassock. But you're right, it still makes no sense. 'Twas too easy for the innocent to get hurt, along with the guilty this morning. He planned it. He ran as great a risk of being trampled as the rest of us. Elenai shook her head sadly. I'm worried about those who got hurt in this madness. I'd best go see what I may do. She stood, shaking out her skirts. Isn't that always the way when folk plot to steal power? The innocent get hurt. The final toll of the Great Market Riot was 15 dead, 36 hurt, including the king-to-be, and untold damages to shops and stalls. The atmosphere of suspicion and fear thickened. In spite of it, perhaps because of it, Jonathan began to ride once a week to the capital and the surrounding countryside. Jonathan watched the stars appear from a castle balcony, relaxing as he prepared himself for a night among his courts. Again, Josiane would try to win him back, and again he'd keep her at a distance. Not for the first time he regretted his involvement with the princess from the Copper Isles. He tired of her quickly. She'd been reluctant to understand that. Now that he knew her better, he'd realized that in spite of his mother's plans for Josiane, the princess would have made a very bad queen. Still, he had to smile. He'd just come from his time as the voice of the tribes, in touch with Coram for the first time since January. He'd learned that the wayfarers had reached Marin's western border and would anchor in Tyra in the morning. Soon Atlanta would be home, and he could put his Lioness and the Dominion Jewel to work. That's all of it, Majesty. The humpback man known as Elid the Armorer fidgeted. I wish Claude never come to me. I don't like this, nor the consequences of word if word leaks out of what's afoot. John's up being weird, right? I mean, to work isn't specifically to his bed. It's more like, I want her to be King's Champion. But yeah, his is the issue. Oops. Yeah. Okay, sorry. E. There we go. George sprawled in his chair, rubbing his chin as he surveyed his informant. His hazel eyes glittered through his lashes, making the armor twist his cap into a knot. Mayhap Claw fed you a tale, Aled. It won't be the first time a man tested loyalty by giving out a lie. You paid gold for this tale then, Aled whined. Besides, you don't know I've been selling to Shem Killmaster and Cassius Spy these 5 years. Only Killmaster favors armor in the community style, but lacquered black like they never do. And the Spy, enough. You say that's who is involved. I trust ya. I pay you enough. It ain't just the gold, Majesty, Aled protested. My man raised no fools. He's one fate for them as kills a king. His gesture illustrated the fate clearly. I am afeard of Claw. Means he's crazier than a priest. A provost justice is fast. Our folk be crooked, but loyal all the same. They knew Claw was up to this. Them that helps him wouldn't live to face the provost. I'm between goddess and black god, with no place to run. George tossed a silver noble to the armorer, who caught it and bit it to make sure it wasn't fake. Not a word to Claw, Eled. The other man winced. He knew that Claw would do to him if the news he'd talked to George leaked out. No, indeed, Majesty. He left the dancing dove muttering. George stared into the silence. When Alana had introduced him to Jonathan, he knew the day might come when his duty to the rogue would conflict with his friendship with the prince. That time had come. What was he to do? A rescue and a riot, with everyone too excited to think clearly, was one thing. Informing on a plot was another. The marketplace assassins were dead, and Claw in hiding, so no good would have come of his saying who'd started the whole thing. But Aeled's tale had concerned corrupt servants, and a new plot that reached from the palace to Claw. George grew up in the lower city, learning the underworld's laws. Obey the rogue, pay his tax, and, most importantly, never betray a fellow rogue to the king's justice. The penalty was slow death. A year ago, George would have been the last to consider such a betrayal, but that was before Claw changed things. Jonathan was his friend. They'd spent many good evenings together. They'd loved the same woman. They both knew what kingship meant. In some ways, John was closer to him than Alana. She can conceive of the burdens of a king, and John had never known anything else. Either I've turned stupid, or life's turned hard, he thought with a sigh. The first thing Tom of Trabon noticed, returning late to his palace rooms, was that the door to his study was not closed. I'll turn the maids into fish. They left the door ajar, he roared, slamming the door open. The shadowy figure sitting by his hearth was thrown into relief by the glow from Tom. I can see we'll not be needing candles, George drawled. Close the door. There's a good lad. Tom stared at his guest. Hey! What's that? Hey! Oxblood Dragon, welcome in. What's up? How was your stream? Hey!
Hi, Ethereal.
Hey, Ethereal. What's up? Stream was good? Yeah, well, welcome in. Everyone who doesn't know me, I am Skyr. I am a slime tuber. Here to bring you some cozy vibes on Monday evenings with a rating stream. I saw your announcement. Was it your anniversary? It was your anniversary stream today, wasn't it? Sorry, I meant to pop in, but kind of things got busy and I needed to set up my own and just ran out of time. Oh, I butchered your name on stream. Yeah, no worries. No one knows how to pronounce it. Also, Tuesday evenings tends to be some I tend to do some Baldur's Gate 3 with my friend Foppin, and I'm trying to get back into some more Dead by Daylight and other games, get back to streaming a little bit more frequently. Can I say my name again? It's Skyr. It's tentacles and Skyr. Skyr is an Icelandic word. It's also like an Icelandic yogurt. Yeah, I'm half Icelandic on my mom's side. It's nice to meet you, Ethereal Love. And thank you for the follow. Yeah, Skyr for pronunciation. Yeah, that's correct, Oxblood. Oh, and congrats on your 2-year anniversary. Honestly, I can't even remember how long ago I started. Well, I started streaming in 2017, but I can't remember the date at all. I know I got affiliate in October that year too. October 17th. I remember my affiliate anniversary was October 17th, 2017. But I didn't know that aesthetic thing. I knew you were like partially French Canadian. Yeah, I'm French Canadian, but more. I believe the French was actually was more French. But since everyone who was French that came to Canada had at one point been from France, but that's imagine being a Frenchie. Yeah, I don't speak it. I understand it if it's spoken to me, mostly because more of wee, less eh. Yeah. Ooh, thanks for redeeming the first. Poppin always forgets. More wee. Indeed. There's just a lot more pee, but yeah, I think, but it's Ursel. Well, thank you, Pop. Same way when it comes a good portion of languages, I can figure out what they are saying, but I can't speak it at all. Yeah, mine's more of a survival instinct. Basically my brother and I never got along. We always fought, and when my dad was pissed off, he spoke French. So that was, you understood him, or it was even basically you understood him if he was like speaking French. I'm a bit salty about the first thing. I mean, it's not my fault. You forget to choose to get the first. You're salty about the first, but I mean, come on. You can make the butt salty. You only speak angry French. I can't speak it. As I said, I can't speak French. I understand it. Some would argue that all French is a bit angry. Sometimes. Unless it's speaking of love. Then that's just cheesy. I'll make it salty. Indeed. Excuse me. Yeah, it was good briefly meeting you on Saturday too. I know the Winnipeg meetup was kind of crazy with the amount of people that were there, and it was too awkward to wander around. So I kind of just picked my table and stayed there. So, hey, social anxiety. Yeah, I was so overstimulated at the event. Yeah, me too. No, I wasn't one of the lucky ones that got the pop socket. I was hoping so. I felt like I should have been one of the first ones there. I was like 10 minutes after. I got there at 6:40, but then by the time at 6:40, everyone was there, and I know it was at the end, but like, it was just kind of like, eh. I watched you walk around a lot. Until you got to the table. Yeah, I was just trying to like say hi to the ones I knew, and kind of just make awkward eye contact and smiles with people. It's like, okay, that's enough trying to coax people to say hi to me because I can't approach anyone, so meh. Pop Sockets became random because they didn't know where they were. Oh, I made a mistake wearing Twitch shirt. I mean, it's a good way to do it. I should have worn a Twitch shirt. Maybe people would actually have talked to me. I don't know. Instead, I wore the We Are All Humans shirt. Wait, I was standing behind you a lot? What? I mean, I wandered the place, and then every time I turned around here, I honestly, I don't feel like I saw you until that time that, what was it? No, there's no easy mode had flagged you down for wearing a Twitch shirt. That's how overstimmed I get in crowded situations. I just get so super just blinders on sometimes. It's like, I don't know how to say hi, so I'm just gonna wander around, make awkward eye contact, and then hide in a corner. Every time I look back, you're right there. It is me. Did we? Honestly, I don't remember that. Oh gosh, I'm sorry. I'm very bad with eye contact too. Again, overstimulated, yeah. Yeah. I kind of prefer meetups that are like the summer meetups that they do when it's actually at a park, so no one's feels limited to tables like that. And it feels more open to be like being able to walk up to a group, say hi, instead of just like trying to squeeze yourself at a table that's barely can fit anyone else in. It's like, it's just awkward. It's like, yeah, when I got there, I was maybe walking around for half an hour, and then I just found a table and stayed there. And shared a couple appetizers with the four other three that were at the table with me. Yeah, the venue wasn't the greatest. Wouldn't say it was the greatest. Yeah. You didn't eat there. I had shared a couple of appetizers. They weren't bad. They didn't do bad on their calamari. It's a bit cheerier than I liked, but it is octopus for you. Ooh, 5 butts. Kinky. Did you enjoy your 5 butts? Although honestly, I kind of think about, I haven't eaten a lot this weekend either. Maybe that's why I haven't been feeling the greatest. Dragon's such a fruit. Like calamari is the same as I've had at many restaurants. Nothing special. Yeah, the best calamari I've had in Winnipeg is Pony Corral on Regent, Nairn Regent. It's their calamari was like, I only just learned of this last month. But their calamari was basically melting in my mouth type good. It was so tasty. I mean, Pan's good. And even as Pan, you still can enjoy all the butts. You just enjoy all the butts of all the genders. Yeah, you enjoy all the butts of every gender. Yes, butts are hot. Gay pansexual, but it's complicated. You like drawing butts, Foppin, don't lie. I literally have pages of your sketches of butts and peeners right on my other screen. As well as a very horrified Drake, but that's another thing altogether. Well, he's emotionally unstable, right? I don't think he is emotionally stable anyways, so it just works out. I get free art, you get to draw emotionally unstable men, it works out. Emotionally unstable men and butts, it works out. Best chat ever. Yeah, so also like I was as a Monday evenings I do reading streams as I am doing now. Okay. The books I'm reading are Tamora Pierce's Song of the Lioness series. Become unhinged like this? Yeah. I go off on tangents when I have people to talk to. Not that I don't like talking to Foppin, but I talk to them all the time, so. Or rather lately it's been them talking to me all the time, so I need to fix that. I draw what? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Foppin did me. Foppin is my model artist. I'm looking at Discord like, did you draw something new? I thought you were taking a break from drawing. You're playing Palia of all things. I did you. I mean, you've drawn my model nude, so I don't know what you did. Well, wait. That was a bad string of words. It is. And the bottom in this situation. Hey, is there not a... I thought I had a marker that's already well past this clip length. Hey. Thank you. Me. You met me, I'm in no way a top. Realistically. True. I didn't mean it that way, I meant drew me. I don't do good words. They just come out and then hopefully they make sense. Your friends on your bottom means constantly. Fun. Yeah, I designed them. I even drew their PP. Yeah, I gave my PP eyes too, apparently. I'm not sure I showed some people at Meetup this. Just open link so I can actually don't risk showing the nude on stream. Meet me. Meet pretty. Show it all. I do not want to be Twitch banned. I'm just getting back into it. I don't want to be banned already. You can still show the slutty version too. That looks good. E. Slutty version? You mean... Oops. Wrong tab. This one? Isn't based on sex. It should be fine. No. It's labeled slutty. I don't know what it's labeled. I don't see it being labeled. I just see 6 pictures of dress-up doll. There's a file name on my computer. Well, I can't see your file names. Fuck me too. Giggity? Is that an offer? Don't worry, while I inadvertently stalked you at the meetup, I do not know where you live. I mean, Floppy, you could be a power bond. It's still considered topping despite being on the receiving end. It's basically guts in a I guess in general that won't help. I honestly don't recall seeing you until the time that you were flagged down by this is an easy mode on Saturdays. Like I must have had blinders on sometimes. If only because I want to put men in jars and shake them vigorously, like emotionally. That just reminded me of a comic I read that this man, whenever this guy jacks off, he has to jack off into a jar, otherwise the semen comes to life, and goes telling the wizard who's put the curse on him that he's jacked off. Oh god, was that my inspiration for my theme? Slime first starts happening in here. I mean... No. I'm old bog Fiji yogurts. On August 8th. What's August 8th? Other than a streamer's birthday I know of. Oh, 8/8. I see. Play on words, I get it. Now, I am dumb sometimes. I think I'm as himbo as JC sometimes. It's 4 day apparently. Makes sense. I mean, every other day has some sort of... Slime is just chef's kiss. Yeah. Floppin thinks I stole slime off of them, but I was already thinking it. I was more like, I think I was more like stealing off of someone else was also a slime theme, but I was like, I could do it a different way that looked good for me. And it just happened to be along the same time that Floppin started drawing slimes. I'm like, hey. Did you say butts? Although that's a breaker face emote, but maybe you don't see it, but it's bubble butt. It didn't work. Yeah, and you need to have the whatchamacallit, the Chrome plugin for it to see them. I just realized that wasn't an actual Twitch emote until I was like, oh, that's Franker face. It's like better Twitch TVs one, like BTTV as well. Oh wait, I should probably add a can you just show them on stream? Maybe? Let me find it in my files. Make sure I don't show anything. Shouldn't. Stream stuff. Hey, where's your slime stuff? There we go. Wait, keep up. I need to make lunch for Rectum. Yeah. Yeah. But pierogies and farmer sausage. That sounds delicious. Can you make me lunch as well? I can't cook. It grows. It grows. It's sweaty. I cannot cook. Since I live on my own. Yeah. I want to be devoured. Giggity. This was the start of my slime persona. And look how far it's come. Yay. That was my first attempt at being a PNG tuber without any of the motion. Nice slime for me. This is too much. E. Excuse me. all of a sudden, Foppin's drawing art of my slime self taking over your body. I mean, that's the premise of my thing too, is that I'm only in human form because I have taken over a human skeleton. That slowly decays, so I always need to find a new body. I should draw that sometime. Yes. Actually, should. I know I'm adding on. Like, maybe some like show some bones in the arms, or like even just kind of like in pieces. As I make changes to the reference dress-up doll that you finished. Oops. Sorry, my brain went, hey, this could be cool. I wanted to that the rush sheet was already going at that point, but I might edit. Go back and add that on E. Make it a jelly human around bones that decay over time and dissolve. Because slime is bomb. E. Just thinking about it, and I just need to know how to draw bones. Yeah. Like a gummy bear. Basically, and that's basically what I was say I am. It's like I take over skeletons and slowly dissolve them. Yeah, so Dragon, I'll let you go make your lunch. My lunch tomorrow is gonna be same thing I'll have for dinner later tonight, because we went to KFC for dinner, but they changed their twisters and I find them disgusting now. So I'm like, I can't eat this, so I haven't had dinner yet. I mean, what? I just saw someone's face. What? Giggity? Wait, I have the... I was scared that the person would stop having a face. What was the dissolving people? Yes. Wait, does that mean I melt dicks off too? Maybe that's where mine went. Wait, what's this? Sorry, I'm gonna play a soundbite I have. I have no idea what it is. I was looking for this one, but I realized that there's one I don't know what it is anymore. I'm gonna play it. Okay.
I'll grab your butt cheeks and pull out my willy, stir your asshole like a hot bowl of
Okay. Expecting the porno noise. Kink around up putting slimes in like too tight of a stretch rubber's outfit. You wear a full body condom. I mean, isn't that what latex soup is anyways? Stop tempting Dragon. No, tempt Dragon more, tempt Dragon more. It pants, but Epis. That's fire to tablet. Wait. If pants, but what? Sorry, Foppin. I can't understand you sometimes. My pants had a penis. I mean, I guess I'm just creating my own clothing as well. Gadget flashlight. I have pants that have a penis holder, right? Yeah, my pants are just my erogenous zone, that's all. The entire pants are erogenous, exactly. I just said that. Yeah.
Well, excuse me, princess.
Hey, that finally worked. For well, those things weren't working. I don't understand why that finally worked. I mean, maybe the corset, shirt, cape, but really you're just Donald ducking it. As long as I'm not Donald Trumping it, I'll be fine. And he crushed it the right way, pleasing it, licking the slime off. Licking the slime all over it. I need to remove that channel from the chat mic, as much as I enjoy annoying people with sound effects on chat. And I can dry with this wet shirt. You live for sound bites? Yeah. I need to get more. And remember to use them more. To be honest. That is the reason why I got the large stream deck. Although, I need to figure out organizing the buttons for it. Which I found and added, totally forgot I had it. Like, yeah. You never know what you need until until you need to use it. Like that. I think the laugh track one I have is on different. Yeah, I have the different laugh tracks on it on that button. Okay. Listen to what? Notes made in a Discord. Yeah, I just saw that. Yeah, okay. Emma says she wishes you were dead. The best soundbite I have. Aw. That sounds mean. From Zootopia? I don't remember that. It's been a while since I've seen Zootopia, though. It's been a while since I thought of Zootopia, other than randomly coming across some of the porn that pops up of Zootopia's furries. And I said the link. Okay. Zootopia abortion comic? What? 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 It's a thing? Oh my gosh. Oh my... Oh. No. I wasn't calling you insane, it just seemed insane to me. And yet the cis straight men's think we're the ones coming after the children. Like, fuck. I'll check it out after stream. I sent a known your meme page of it, but it's got all the pages. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'll check it out later, of course. Okay. Um. Okay. Oh, now I remember that scene. Okay. Let me adjust that so Papa can hear it. Right now I have it only streaming to my external speakers, not stream. Okay, that would work.
My mommy said she wishes you were dead.
Wow. That is a good one. Ish. Mean, but ish.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
Right.
Oh, no, 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 no.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just like other sound bites I have. I keep forgetting about them. But yeah. Okay, so there's a quick summary of the book I'm reading for those who are new to the channel. I am reading Tamora Pierce's Lioness Rampant, which is book 4 of the Lioness Song of the Lioness series. Basically Song of the Lioness, Alana, who is the young daughter and twin of a lord, wants to become a knight, so she swapped places with her brother Tom to take his places to become a knight. And upon getting her shield revealed that she was female, she killed off the evil Duke Conte. She left the capital to explore, won the Dominion Jewel to bring back to her king, or now king, and her brother decided it was a good idea to bring her enemy back to life, raise him from the dead. And this present chapter is basically showing like how that city is so slowly going to rubble. There's been riots, attempts on Jonathan's life, as Jonathan is the king now. Jonathan's mother died of the sickness that the Duke had caused. And then his father, the king, decided to kill himself because he couldn't live without her. So leaving John to take his throne at too young an age. And yeah. Very quick and dirty summary of the novels. And now and then we also have the King of Thieves, which is the rogue George. He was another of Alana's love interests. John was also a love interest at one point, or not at one point in the series. George is another, but they're also just all a group of friends too. But now we're at the point where George is approaching Tom to talk, having let himself into Tom's rooms. And, well, The shadowy figure sitting by his hearth was thrown into relief by the glow from Tom. I can see we'll not be needing candles, George drawled. Close the door. There's a good lad. Tom stared at his guest, and then obeyed. As he slumped into a chair, he demanded, "What are you doing here at this hour? Up to no good, I bet." "Why, must you ask? Don't you see all that happens in your teacup in the morning?" George's voice was bitter. He'd just come from telling John about the newest threat to his life. From betraying the rogue, part of his mind insisted. Tom tried to read George's face. The glow he cast wasn't that strong. Not yet, he thought bitterly. You haven't done something roguish, have you? George glared at him. Don't blame me for an innocent Tommy my lad. If I wanted to tell you, I would. The chances are that I don't. Tom shrugged. As you wish. He threw fire at the candles beside George. It was too much, consuming half of the fat wax sticks. He looked at the thief to see what he made of it, but only a slight crinkling around George's eyes gave away that he noticed anything unusual. Say something. Tom's voice was tight. Everyone else has. I heard Baird tell Jonathan perhaps the Mithrans let me go too soon. When George didn't reply, he yelled, Say it! Damn you! You keep things chilly in here, was the mild reply. I know this old pal's hard to warm, and it's near midsummer and all. Tom laughed and could not stop. He buried his face in his hands, his thin body shaking. George rose, a worried look in his eyes, and put a hand on Tom's shoulder. Don't! The sorcerer cried. But it was too late. George pulled back his hand after only a brief touch. Tom was far hotter than any mortal could be. And still live. Black God's belly, Tom! How long have you been like this? The other man shook his head. I have no idea. He saw George shiver. Go ahead. Start a fire. It doesn't make a difference. I do it myself, but... He looked at the candles. George knelt to use flint and steel to start a blaze. Watching it burn, he said cautiously, I was struck by old Sicham when we visited you at the city. No, I tell you. Have him come and gloat. He didn't look like the gloating kind to me, lad. He would have liked you had you given him a chance. He was a bright young sprout himself once. Bloodshot amethyst eyes stared at him. Do you think this is some kind of trouble I stumbled into that my teaching master can get me out of? A safety measure I didn't take. Some bit of carelessness that can be mended by someone older and more experienced? No, but that kind of mistake's known right off. It's often fatal. But Sicham may have seen what's wrong with you before. I don't want to hear it. Tom's voice was flat as he wiped his eyes on his sleeve. They were jealous of me in the city. All of those masters. There's nothing they'd like better than to see me caught in a mistake. George considered his next remark carefully, knowing he was on dangerous ground. Finally, he decided to speak anyway. What of Duke Baird? Him that's chief of the palace healers. Mayhap he? Tom giggled in earnest, his laugh hoarse with disuse. Baird? What do I tell him? That... He caught his breath. I have a cold in my gift? George smiled. Does your friend know? They both knew who he meant. If he does, he keeps it to himself. I can't, won't ask him. Softly, Tom added, I'm afraid to. He looked at George, his face white and pinched. I believe he knows exactly what it is. He jumped out of his chair. Are you happy? Will you tell Miles he was right all along? Why not tell John while you're at it? You have no proof he's whole again. No proof. Tears ran down his cheeks. Lad, calm down, George said, keeping his arm hidden. You're wearing me out. Tom laughed. I don't have any proof either, he went on tiredly. But what else can I think? Except that somehow you can do this. It's that, or I have to believe the gods turned away from me. I thought and said it would be easy to make myself a god. If there's anyone you can ask, no one. I made sure of that, didn't I? This will pass. I'll find a cure, something. I haven't looked in the right places. George knew dismissal when he heard it. He gathered up his cloak. Thank you. It was a whisper. I did nothing to be thanked for this night, George said harshly. Not for you, not for anyone. You listened, even though I've tried my best to discourage you. You didn't say you warned me. If he is doing something. George nodded and laughed. Tom watched the fire for a moment, then rasped 3 words. A wave of seawater broke over the hearth, toppled the candles, and doused the fire before vanishing. He sat for the rest of the night, smelling scorched wood, ocean, and wet carpeting. The thief, who was gone from Tom's thoughts when the door closed, went to his most recent hideout. At dawn, George's messenger rode north to the city of the gods, with George's urgent letter to see Cham, first master of the Order of Mithros. Several nights after George had passed on his information, Jonathan and the Lord Provost laid their plans to catch the conspirators. They met in a room near the servants' quarters. By Jonathan's command, Roger was also present. You are in charge, my lord, John told the provost when his cousin arrived. Give us your instructions. The provost opened a hidden panel that led to the maze of secret passages and servants' corridors in this section of the palace. We'll be able to see and hear everything. My boys were able to fix the room, thanks to all this advance warning. But neither of you make a sound, or you'll blow the game. The old man was common born, and it showed in his speech. If they say what it's claimed, they will. I'll signal the arrest. I cannot see why my presence is necessary, Roger commented. He looked bored. Jonathan glanced at him and snapped, Call it my whim, Roger. Since when does the king-to-be take part in spying, even on a whim? Roger's melodic voice was filled with sarcasm. We're spying on would-be regicides, Provost said dryly. King killers. A plot against my cousin? What folly! Roger's voice sharpened. You suspect me, Jonathan? You haven't been implicated, was the cool reply. I thought I was forgiven my earlier errors, said Roger bitterly. Do your friends feel the same way? Jean demanded. Perhaps you should ask them, if you don't know the answer already. Enough, the provost ordered. Let's get moving. They threaded through the corridors until they met one of the provost's men. Quietly, the 3 of them were guided to spy holes in the corridor wall, shielded from notice inside the room. The holes nevertheless allowed them to see and hear what took place inside. Three servants sat, or paced the room, according to their natures. With a start, Jonathan recognized his groom of chambers and the maid who brought him food or drink late at night. The third man, a nail-biter, wore the uniform of the palace guard, the rivals of the king's own. Jonathan snuck a look at Roger to see his cousin's reaction. Roger's mouth was set in a grim line as he watched the scene before him. He didn't appear upset or worried. Reactions John had half expected. "When are they coming?" the guard snapped. "My sergeant inspects." "Who said he never inspects?" The girl's voice was clear and cold. "But if he does tonight..." "Keep your breeches on," the groom ordered scornfully. "You followed your orders. Everything will proceed according to plan." There were 2 raps on the door. Everyone inside stiffened. There were 2 more raps, a pause, and then 2 more. The maid undid the bolt and let 4 men in. One was Jonathan's favorite palace scribe, who had apparently guided those with him to the meeting place. Putting aside his bitterness over the scribe's betrayal, John turned his attention to the outsiders. He recognized Claw, Rowland of Malvin, from his description. The other 2 he assumed to be the assassins, the spy and the skillmaster. They had the look of paid killers. The maid bolted the door as Claw looked around. "You were careful on your way here?" he demanded of the servants. Jean smiled grimly. Unlike Miles, he knew Rowland's voice instantly. "No one followed." Claw went on, checking the corners of the room. He apparently was unable to keep still. "Woe to any of you who betray me." "None of us dare betray anyone. Except the king." The groom answered. "We're all in too deep." He tossed a packet of documents at the table. On the table in the center of the room. "Here's my part of it. Diagrams of the king's rooms and every way to get in or out." The guard put a paper on the table. "Here's the nights. I'm on duty at the kitchen gate, but I don't want to hear details." Claw put his hand on his dagger hilt, his single eye suddenly wild. "You hear whatever I want you to hear, and when I want your opinions, I'll tell you to give them." The guard shrank back, frightened. At the edge of his vision, John saw the provost give a hand signal to one of his men. The man nodded and trotted away, silently. "Memorize their faces," Claw was telling the assassins when John focused on the room again. "So you know who to kill for betrayed." The assassins looked slowly at each of the servants until the others were clearly frightened. Suddenly, Claw leaned over the table and drew his finger over the surface. He stared at his fingertip for a moment before turning on the maid. "You said no one ever uses this room. There's no dust on the table." The maid steeled herself. "I came in and dusted around. I didn't want to bring in 10 years worth of dirt." Claw backhanded her viciously. "Stupid female." Walking straight back until he was inches away from the Lord Provost's spy hole, he drew a finger down the intricate molding of the screen that masked the wall and the openings in it. He brought it away clean. "And you dusted back here too?" he screamed at the maid. He ran for the door and yanked it open as he drew his sword. The Provost's men outside were caught unaware and unready. Claw cut down one of them as the assassins rushed to follow. The Provost had already left at a run. Jonathan and Roger drew back from the wall. "Tell me you knew nothing of this, cousin," John snapped. "Tell me this isn't yet another of your plots to gain the throne. I don't care if you didn't expel my mother one more time. It was because of your past work that she lost the strength to live. What is there to stop me from believing this is just another of your schemes, that you want my throne as badly as you ever did?" Roger gripped John's arm. "I had no knowledge of a plot. I'll swear by any of your gods, the Duke hissed. Those who plan sorry. If those who planned this did so for reasons they claim involve me, I shall hunt them down and disabuse them of their mistake. In the name of the goddess, the Black God, I swear I do not want your throne. Does that satisfy you? He just involved two deities famous for their fierce punishments for oathbreakers. Reluctantly, John nodded. You say your gods. Don't you believe in them? Roger's smile was bitter. I believe in them. Only a fool does not, since they have made it very clear they do not like me. I refuse to worship them. He stared into the distance, his eyes glittering. But they can be defeated, Jonathan. The right man can shake their thrones. A few minutes later, tightly mussed provost found Jonathan alone in the passage. We have all of them but Claw, he said warily, and two of my lads are dead. The others might wish they were dead once I get through with them for letting Claw escape. He's slippery, Jonathan said absently. I've every faith that you'll get another chance at him, though. Illini Cooper came awake, feeling uneasy, in her own home. That feeling meant someone needed her as a healer. Deciding it couldn't be different here, she pulled on a robe and ran downstairs. A bleary-eyed maidservant held up a lamp as Bazier guards helped 3 people in at the door. One Bazier gave orders to the others outside. Illini saw the glitter of dawn swords as the door was closed and barred. Mistress Cooper! Relief was on the maid's sleepy face. These people say they're friends of Master George. Illini recognized them. Merrick Swiftknife. Can't you keep yourself in one piece? She ran forward, taking charge of pale and bloody Rispa, while still lecturing Merrick. It's only 6 months since I patched you up last. Merrick tried to smile. Sorry, Mother Cooper. We need the empty storeroom, Illini told the maid, and wake Miles. Unnecessary. The knight hurried downstairs, his hair and beard in disarray. Mistress Cooper needs her bag, Therese. Wake the housekeeper. We need clean linen and boiling water. He opened the storeroom. You're learning, Illini said with a smile. She helped Rispa onto a clean table in the unused room. Who's the worst hurt? Ercole, then Merrick, Rispa whispered. I'm alright, Aunt. Merrick held a wadded burnous to a wound on his head. Another in his thigh bled freely. I got Ercole 5 times, he told Miles as Illini laid the oldest of the 3 on his table. The healer looked at one of the Bazier. Someone must go for Mrs. Curry Taylor, House Curry on Weaver's Lane. She's a friend, a healer, and I need help. The man bowed and was gone as she stripped Ercole down. Miles' servants brought Illini everything she needed. As she cleaned Ercole's wounds, Merrick talked to Miles. It was Claw. He found us. Him and his people. He said he had a job. A secret job. He was betrayed. Betrayed? Miles frowned. Just as we was betrayed. Merrick looked away, wiping his eyes on his sleeve. They're dead, Miles. Scholar, Rednell, Orem, Shem, Lightfingers, the peddler, and Zia the hedge witch. We was the only ones to escape. Curie arrived, her red bronze hair flowing down the back of her cloak. Throwing that garment onto a chair, she came to Merrick with her healer's bag. She tied back her hair and rinsed her hands, appraising Merrick's wounds with level brown eyes. Illini finished cleaning Eriko's wounds and began to stitch them, her hands steady. Fortunately for healer and patient, Ercole was unconscious. How did they find you? Miles' voice broke. Scholar had been a friend. And see, Merrick whispered, gritting his teeth as Curie probed the wound in his side. She brought them in. Your lady? Miles asked, horrified. Merrick nodded. Claw told her one of us sold him to the provost. She gave us over because we broke rogue law. Curie stitched Merrick's wounds quickly and went to Rispa. The redhead who'd promised her heart to Karam wore a long gash on her left arm, from shoulder to wrist. Curie went to work as Rispa fought to keep still. I hope someone did that crazy bastard over. She snapped, her voice tight with pain. Since he tried for George last midwinter, more than 100 of us died. It doesn't matter if the dead was for him or against him, or innocent altogether. I haven't forgotten that the market day fight. Who could? The claw loose? We don't need any Lord Provost to weed us out. But if Claw is not wrong entirely, George had come at last, hooded and cloaked like the Bazier to escape detection. What if I made sure he and his people were taken up before they killed Jonathan? What then? The room was silent as everyone but Elenai and Ericole stared at him. Then Miles whispered, Regicide. Curie made the sign. Remember the tale of Oswan that murdered King Adar of the Week? Rispa asked. The law said he wasn't to be let die till he was tortured 3 days, dawn to dark. The gods turned their faces from him, and he lived 6 days. Royal dynasties get their right from the gods. Only the gods could take it back. Not men, Curie added softly. I don't know if you did right, George. Merrick lay back, his face white. I only wish you'd shivved Claw yourself before letting him escape, my lord. The room was a parlor decorated in pale green and cream, perfect for the emerald-eyed brunette on the sofa, less perfect for the striking blonde beside her. A swarthy nobleman lounged in an armchair. It was a room meant for chatter and flirtation. The fourth man, with his battered clothes and ravaged face, was wrong here. He stood before the cold hearth, hands jammed into pockets. We erred in letting you join us, Rallon, Delia of Eldorn said coldly. Last fall you said you would be rogue in a matter of weeks. You are still not the master among the thieves. You tell us, leave the killing of a certain prince to you. Now the provost has your people who were to handle the matter, and Jonathan is alerted to his danger. I was betrayed. Rallon of Malvin was rigid with fury. No one knew Cooper would. I'm not finished, Delia rapped out. Explain this. She thrust a parchment at him. The drawing was clearly one of Rallon. Beneath it was written, Wanted by my Lord Provost for treason against the crown. One claw, born Rallon of Malvin. Reward, 1,000 gold nobles. It described him in detail. How did they learn my name? He whispered in horror. That is immaterial, Miss Princess Josiane said coldly. You're useless to us, Alex the Tyrlagan pointed out. More than useless. You are a danger. No, Claw yelled. You need me. The door slammed open. Alex stood, sword unsheathed. Claw's hands were filled with 2 sharp knives. Roger of Conte swept in, followed by a frightened guard. My lady, I couldn't stop him, not him, the guard stammered. Return to your post, ordered Delia, and he obeyed. Delia, who'd once been Roger's mistress, rose to curtsy to the Duke. Roger, this is a pleasant surprise. I wanted no independent action on your parts. They stared at him, seeing he was in a rage, and were suddenly afraid. Do you think you assisted me? Now the king-to-be watches me. My Lord Provost suspects me. I find I owe this happiness to you for? Delia sank prettily to her knees, skirts billowing. Reaching up, she touched his hand. Forgive our enthusiasm, dear lord, she murmured. We meant to bring you to your rightful throne. Enough. He dragged her to her feet. You cherish dreams once of becoming my consorts. Unless you wish to be the consort of Carthaki snake breeders, you'll await my orders. He threw her into Alex's hold and turned to Josiane. Josiane of the Copper Isles, I have known you only since my return from the dead, but I understand you well. Jonathan encouraged you to spite Alana of Trebond. Still, you might have kept him with some restraints on your part. Now you want to punish him, and so you meddle with things that do not concern you. I am not your pawn. Stay out of my affairs. If you wish to be a part of this, you will await my commands, either here or on the river bottom. Do not cross me again. He looked at the thief. Helen of Malvin, the present rogue is worth 20 of you. Your choice of tools is bad, Delia. He'll betray you when he's done with the thieves. Turning to Alex, the fury in Roger's sapphire eyes faded to puzzlement. I'm surprised at you, my former squire. I told them to do nothing. Alex shrugged. I said you'd have different plans. I thought matters could be hastened. Frankly, I didn't think it was important enough to bother you for. Roger smiled grimly. You might have been right. The trouble with ambitious plots is that those who are not involved get wind of them, as they did this time. That person, or those persons, took what they heard to Jonathan, and he took their information to my Lord Provost. But you, I know you are not a plotter, I know you are not ambitious. What do you want from this? Alex met his eyes for a moment, for a long moment. Then, smiling slightly, he bowed. He knew Roger would guess that he desired of any plan to take Jonathan from the throne. Roger tugged his beard. We shall see. Perhaps you haven't changed. As for you others, he said, looking at them, no more plots, no more assassins, steal nothing from me, bribe no servants for me. My plans are my own, and you will wait my instructions. I warn you this once. He raised a hand. Slowly, blood-colored fire, the fire of magic, collected in his palm. This savage gesture, he hurled it at a small table, which exploded into chips of burning wood, molten pieces of brass and porcelain. In the silence that followed, Roger whispered, Don't think to disobey me. Turning, he walked out. Delia was ashen, and his gift was bright orange. Alex picked up a cooling bit of glass in his handkerchief. He looked it over and began to smile. And with that, it is gonna be the end of my reading night. These are long chapters, so I don't feel bad only doing it one chapter a night. So we technically have maybe 3 days to go? 3 more weeks to get finished this? Although I think the last 2 chapters are a little bit faster because they're the climax and resolution. We'll see. I'm getting a headache because my neck is feeling stiff, so I'm gonna jump off. Since I have a few of you here, let's see who's online. No, I'm gonna send you to another slime. tuber. It's Neo Sad Slime. Who is playing some Minesweeper online? Apparently, I did not know there was an online version of Minesweeper. It's been a while since I've even thought of Minesweeper. But anyhow, go say hello, and I'll see you all. What? I didn't. Why? Start raid. Okay, so apparently I can't close out that channel. Maybe I don't know. Anyway, oh, I see. Okay. Anyway, I'll see you all next time. Have a good night. Bye.